Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and today we're looking at Kershaw's AM-3, their rendition of the Al Mar Ultralight. Alright guys, the Al Mar Ultralight, which I'll throw a picture up of right now, has been a traditionally sought after knife and very expensive knife that's hard for knife guys to buy. And the reason it's hard for them to buy is we look at all those specs. We see those numbers. We see the weight at 2 ounces or less, and you just start drooling over it. And then you go down there and you see that it's got AUS 8 for blade steel, and they want somewhere around $200 for one, and you're like, oh, no, not gonna happen. Now, is Al Mar's Ultralight worth that $200? I'll never know, because I'm never gonna get over that little thing right there, giving $200 for a knife with AUS 8 steel. So what we have here is Kershaw's rendition of essentially Al Mar's Ultralight line. And the AM-3 itself is just under 2.5 ounces. Pretty nice. We're G10 and stainless, all black hardware, and nicely contoured G10. It is a bit slick, I will warn you about that. There isn't any texture left on it. And as we rolled around the back side, we've got those bright red standoffs. Very nice. And we have a deep carry pocket clip. Now it is tip up right hand only, an oddity for Kershaw, but nothing over here to screw it into. But it is a nice deep carry pocket clip with the Al Mar logo right here. It's kind of that Hinderer style deep carry pocket clip, but all good. And we'll get a look at that here in a minute. And as we roll around the top, nicely centered little blade. All in all, just a really well put together little knife, coming in at right around $30. Now, we have a closed length of about 3.8 inches, handle thickness of 0.41, and a closed height of just over an inch. This thing is small. And let's get some comparison out of the way so we can see just how small it is. Get our standards out here, our Rat Model 1 and our Buck 110, and we can start seeing here we're getting really small. But whenever we bring our Delica in here, it's smaller than the Delica, but look at that blade length. We're not too far off. We're pretty much in there with the Delica's blade length. And since we're talking about that blade, let's talk about it a little more. We have a nice slab of 8CR13 MOV at about 2.7 millimeters thick. It's hollow ground across here, and we got 2 nice little swedges across the top. And it is 3.1 inches long. Very nice looking blade, very reminiscent of the Al Mar Ultralights. And, you want to say it's short of grind, but it's hollow ground, and the little thing seems to slice fine. Now, this is not a good representation of its slicing prowess because I have sharpened it. Or I guess I should say it's not a good representation of its stock slicing prowess, but, it's, I did sharpen it with KME, but even out of the box, it was pretty darn sharp. Kershaw has done much better with that. And it's kind of a spear point. Good looking blade all around. Nice, thin, skinny, good EDC-able blade. And from here we'll go to our pause and read card, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so the mechanical bits of this knife are just like any other Kershaw Speed Safe. We've got 2 little phosphor bronze washers in there. We got a torsion bar in here, and that torsion bar holds the knife closed, as well as operating the assisted opening mechanism whenever you break over that pivot point. And it does fire open quite well, and it shuts fairly smooth for this type of knife. You can flick it open with those thumb studs, but I'm not really sure why the thumb studs are even there, unless Al Mar just wanted to have them there, because they are definitely not the greatest for getting the knife open. And as we'll see on a larger model, they don't even work that well for getting the knife open, but they are there. And but the flipper is definitely your better method. You can pinch the blade and roll it open nice and quietly, and it does lock up solidly. It is stainless on this side of the knife, so we don't have any lock bar inserts or any of that, but we do have a nice solid lockup. This one's at about 50%, and it just works good. The knife is centered. Mechanically, this little guy is sound. And while we got him here, let's throw him in the pocket and see what he looks like there. And that's what your deep carry pocket clip gets you. Rides down in there nice and deep. And nice long pocket clip to keep it in the pocket. Does have a fair amount of flip up, and I have carried both the little knives, the Al Mar knives, and various types of pants, and they seem to work just fine no matter what you got. But nicely done pocket clip there. I like that a lot, especially for such a small knife. And moving on to ergonomics, this is a place where people are going to argue about this knife. For me, for the intended purpose of this knife, everything's fine. Handle is a little short, but it's a small knife. So, well, it's a small knife. The jimping up here is actually useful. Your hand falls into it. You can get a hold of it because of the simple handle design again. We talk about this over and over, but simple handle design. You can get a hold of the knife pretty much any way you need to and get the work done. So, I'm not upset about the super smooth G10, which it is very smooth. There's very little surface traction or surface texture at all on this G10. But with the way your hand falls into it, it doesn't seem to matter to me. Other people are going to be upset about it and think that it needs to have some more texture. Otherwise, let's just get a close look at this guy. Nicely done G10, all black hardware. Get a look at that blade. Those grinds are beautiful. Kershaw just did a really good job of building an Al Mar knife and not losing the Al Marness to it. And we'll get to that here in a minute. Anyhow, little red standoffs, that's just a bonus. The nice deep carry pocket clip, another bonus. Overall, well done. Now, let's talk about the knife a little bit. What I would like to see here, and you're going to hear this a lot over the 2017 Kershaws, I would like to see an upper tier Kershaw model of this or a lower tier ZT model of this. Some better steel, some titanium back here so that we can lighten the knife back up again, and some slightly different G10 or maybe carbon fiber, something with a little more grip to it right here, and better blade steel. Now I understand this is around a $30 knife, and those things I'm asking for would bring this knife up to $100, $120, but wow, would it be an awesome little knife. Get rid of the speed safe on the upper tier ones and give us some ball bearings and a flipper, or get the thumb studs in the right place and make the flipper go away, so this is a great little left-hand pocket floater. And that's where this knife would shine. And even in the form it is now, that's a place it shines. At 3.1 inches and 2.5 ounces, and being as small as it is, you're getting as much knife as you get out of a Spyderco Delica, or as much blade length as you get out of a Spyderco Delica in this much smaller a package. There they are lined up together. I think that's pretty close. Right at about the same blade length, but just look how much smaller that packaging is. Now, does it make as great a slicer as the Delica? Well, of course not, but you're also probably not going to float a Delica in your left-hand pocket either. This one you can easy enough, no problem whatsoever. And that, I think, is where Kershaw's missing a little bit on what they could do with this particular size of the Al Mar collaboration knives. And the last thing that I want to make a point of, Al Mar's ultralights come in AUS 8 steel. As a standard steel, sometimes you can find upgrades for them, and they're close to $200 and sometimes a little more. You are not getting the build quality here with the Kershaw knife, of course, but you are still getting about the same steel quality for $30. And that, to me, makes, if you're an Al Mar fan, makes having one of these a no-brainer. And it also makes a case for having the upper-end Kershaws and the ZTs pretty strong. Everyone likes an Al Mar knife, but if I can get an Al Mar knife in Sandvik steel, S30V, S35VN, M390, CTS 204P, etc., I would be much more likely to purchase it than I would in AUS 8 steel. So, anyhow, that's my opinions on the Kershaw AM-3 model 2335. It's a pretty great little knife, and I'd like to say it's held back by its steel, but it's not. It has what I would consider an equivalent steel to the Al Mar version of the knife, and I kind of like it. I wish there were some upper tier models, and you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging out with me and talking about this pokey little guy, and I'll see you next time.